NASA has been trying to launch a shuttle type of craft. I don't even know what to call it. It's some kind of spacecraft, which they called Orion, and they couldn't do it, and they rescheduled. And this name is appearing very prominently now in a lot of places. There's a lot of interest in Orion, in the constellation Orion. Could this be because that is where this object is coming from? And the second question was, is there any idea who built this disk that you're referring to?
The disk, they can pretty much say that it was from the Nebra colony, okay? And they had an ancient observatory there to where they could tell when the season started. So they were very in tune with the constellation and knowing when the year happened. You know, when to plant the crops, when to harvest. That's why you have these ancient observatories. Because if you miss the planting season, your town could starve. It was very important at the time to better know when to plant and when to harvest, and that's what these things would help them with. What was your other question? The first one you said.
The other question is this other spacecraft that they are trying to launch named Orion, and it's not the first one I have seen with that name, you know, and the project and so forth.
Sure.
And my question was, could that be because that is where this object, this Planet X, 7X, is coming from?
Whether or not they're launching any equipment pertaining to this, I have no idea. But the general question is this planet coming towards or from the constellation, you see, Orion? And the answer is no, it's not. There is these assumptions that do not match data, okay? There's a lot of people say it's coming from the South Pole because the data they've heard, people say they took a picture of it from the south. So they look towards the south. That's not the south of the universe, ladies and gentlemen. That's the south in the universe is around, when you look at the night skies in around July 6th or somewhere around there. Northern skies is around December, like 29th or so. When you're looking south, that's called Nadar. When you're looking straight north, that's called the zenith. So when they say it's coming from the south, you don't look from the South Pole. You look towards July at the nighttime skies of July, okay, which is around Sagittarius. This is the same area of space where they sent the Voyager and Pioneer probes in that constellation. What were they looking for? They stated in multiple articles they were looking for a new planet because the outer planets are perturbed by gravity that's telling them that there's another unfounded planet further out. And Pluto does not calculate to be the one doing the perturbing of the other planet. Its mass is too small. So they sent 3 satellites towards that direction. And around in 92, their instruments were able to triangulate their instruments that read gravity. The gravity instruments told them direction, height, and and area where it's at, to where they could triangulate. After that, NASA went silent on the whole subject of Planet X, and that's when they found it. Now, I estimated it was around 8 years or so outside of our solar system at the time. When it reaches Pluto, it takes 20 years to reach the sun, according to the models. Kepler's law of the planetary motion at roughly 360-year orbit, it's going to take 20 years to reach the sun. And that's roughly around this next year. 16 and 17 is going to be a very interesting year. That's why you've seen all of this elevated earthquakes, weather patterns, animal life, death, you name it. It's multiple of items out there that you can name that are all elevated beyond its norm.
And I totally agree. Now, you mentioned that this is not, the law that governs the planets is basically not one of gravity, but it is one of electromagnetic fields. Which brings me to a question, Gill. Could this be the reason why so many of these animals, which use their sense of north, of true north, like the dolphins, the whales, the birds, are dying in mass, and they don't seem to be able to find their way? I could say the same thing about the bees, although there's other theories out there about that. But could that be what is happening with these animals, that they're losing their sense of direction?
What I would, I have no laboratory proof about what I'm about to say, but this is my theory on what it is. We know that the Earth is going through a series of earthquakes that's escalated over the last 10 years that's way off the charts. When you have rock shifting, they release methane. The animals that you're seeing and the insects are acutely sensitive to methane.
Mm-hmm.
If methane is released and birds are flying through that cloud of methane, they drop right out of the sky right instantly. Right there, they're dead. Humans can tolerate it, but not these certain animals that you've seen. And when methane is released in the oceans, if a fish is swimming through it, they end up floating. They cannot handle the methane. And that's the major cause of death, because the rock structure, the layering is shifting on Earth, and that's causing the release of methane. And
that's true. That's true.
That's what we're seeing, because you can take the old story, which is a true story, about the coal miners. They used to carry I think it was a canary.
Mm-hmm.
In a
the
mine.
Canary in the mine theory, yeah.
Because it always sang. Well, as soon as methane was present, that bird went quiet because he's dead at the bottom of the cage. And then they knew there was methane, because methane is odorless. You cannot smell it. Natural gas is methane, but they add a substance to it that has that smell of rotten eggs to it.
Right.
Otherwise, methane is odorless. You cannot smell it. Therefore, that's why they have to have this.
So that smell throughout the country and in other parts of the world as well. People smelling like what smell of rotten eggs, strong odors.
Sure. Well, this is also part of the reason why a lot of people are hearing these booming sounds and everything. The earth is creaking and everything. We're in for some really phenomenal sights that are coming up. When this thing gets really close, when we start to go back through the tail again, you're going to see the aurora borealis go all the way down to the equator. And when that's super active, it hums like a trumpet when it's super active. You think there's trumpets going on.
Really?
And it's the aurora borealis going all the way down to the equator, because the tail is plasma. And what is the aurora? The aurora is when you have like a solar flare and plasma hits the Earth, it causes the aurora. Okay? Well, we're going to have a huge amount of plasma hitting the magnetic field of Earth. And you'll see it excited, and it's going to go, you're going to see extreme amount of colors and sounds.
I have actually heard those sounds of trumpets, Gill. Actually, I have heard it in the videos in the internet, but I also heard it in my home one day, and it was coming from the south. And it's that kind of sound that you can hear all around you. It's not coming from a specific place. It's coming from all around you. And the sound was like a screeching, kind of like a blowing of a horn type of, very low rumbling sound. And that is what you're referring to, right?
That's it. You can go through all of the stories of the Bible, and I give a list of these. If you want to go through them, we can, real quick. And where they can find these objects. I mean, these stories that's lining up with the events of this passing object that's coming through our city, because it's documented in the Bible more than any other document, I believe.
Well, we can talk about that in the second hour. We got about maybe 3 minutes before the top of the hour. What I'm thinking is that this object, when it does appear, it's going to take up a big chunk of the sky. I mean, with the tail and the comet and everything, it's going to take up about a third of the sky by the time it takes it comes across our view. That's going to
visually. Yeah, visually, there's kind of like a squaring ratio as it gets closer. I don't know, or a scale that's kind of logarithm. It's not, I don't know how to put it. Like when it gets halfway, it's double the size. Okay. So as it gets closer, when it's cutting that distance in half, it's going to double in visual size each time. Okay. So in other words, like when this object, if it's 7 times, when it's 7 days out, it's going to look about half the size of the moon. And if it's 2 days out, it will look at about 3.5 times the diameter of the moon.
Wow, that's
and when
pretty large.
And whenever it crosses Earth past at the time, it's going to be in between Earth and moon again. You're looking at an object 50 times larger than the moon. And that the stories are not random in the Bible. The stories are giving us the details on what to expect actually for the end times to prepare us. And I didn't come to that realization till I processed all of the information.
Well, this is exactly why the Lord Yeshua said that the hearts of men would fail them for fear of things that are coming upon the earth. And at first I couldn't understand that, because there have been disasters many times on the earth, but this is going to be of such a magnitude, the likes of which mankind has never seen, at least our generation has never seen. Well, this is Augusto Perez with the Appearance Portal. After this short break, we'll be back with my guest, Gill Broussard. Don't go away.